Alrighty. I think we are live. I probably should close Photoshop because I don't need taking up my power. Okie dokie. Let's paint. Hey, Anne-Marie. Good morning. Yes, thank you, phone. You're live on your channel. Ah, thanks. Hey, Lady. Laddie. Try to say that 10 times fast. Good morning, everybody. Hi, guys. So, let's see. I haven't done a gouache stream in a couple weeks or a few weeks, right? You probably saw recent videos on my channel with this. This might look familiar. And I think this was Twitch. This was Twitch. Honestly, I can't remember. I'm sorry. I don't remember what we did on YouTube versus Twitch. I think this may have been YouTube. But yeah, these are a few of my recent paintings. We've been doing lots of gouache studies, both here and over on Twitch. And I feel really rusty though. I've been using oil paint and watercolor for the last couple weeks. And that's only when I've been able to paint, which is sporadically. Because I was sick and then I was away in Skye and trying to like get a million things done when I got back. So I feel like I haven't painted in so long, even though I know I did. I actually did this painting on Wednesday on my Twitch channel, this lighthouse. So I painted this week, but it doesn't feel like it. It's one of those months, I guess. Hi, Miriam. Hey, studio, sneaking in. I am happy to be your company while you draw, and I love knowing that you're painting or drawing or doing something creative. Toothache got taken care of. Oh, good. I mean, I'm sorry that it happened, and it was probably awful, but I'm so glad it's done because I know how horrible that is. It's Jenny, much easier. Okay. Oh boy. It's actually hard to remember people's real names when I see their username in chat, but I'll try. I'll think Laddie Lady Jenny. Laddie Lady Jenny. Also, my sister's name is Jenny, but with different spelling, so. Brave to paint to the edge of paper. Brave or stupid, I don't know. No, just because it is a lot harder to like hold the sketchbook steady when you don't tape it off, or when you paint all the way to the edge. So yeah, it can be a little messy and tricky to do that. It looks cool, especially when you have several pages like this where they're like taped off and nice and clean, and then you turn and get to this like widespread. So anyways, today we are going to be doing this, or I'm going to be painting this scene below me, or a slightly different version of that photo. It's from our recent trip to Skye, which, by the way, you guys, I have been editing that vlog for like 3 days solid. My hand is killing me because I've been editing so much, but I love it because I love seeing all the photos and videos from Skye again. It's like reliving it. So I'm going to share that tomorrow, and I can't wait because, I mean, obviously, you probably know by now, Skye is my favorite place in the whole world. And it just makes me so happy, and I want to share it with everyone. So I'm going to be painting this location. It's called Quiraing, which means pillared enclosure. And as you can kind of see from the photo, there are these epic mountains and cliff sides, and you're kind of like walking, the trail kind of meanders through these cliffs. It's incredible and feels like you're in Middle Earth. So yeah, we're just gonna get immersed into that today. I'm sorry. I'll try to turn away when I cough. It's still lingering, which is super annoying. First, I will tape off my page, though. Hey, Slave of Hell, good morning. Is anyone else painting today? Besides you, Slave of Hell, since you are a master painter, I know that you're painting. I don't even have to ask. I'm still sick, yeah. I mean, it's not the kind where I'm like stuck in bed. It's just this annoying, lingering cold. Just doesn't end. You know what I mean? I usually get it once a year. It was my fault, I think, because before Skye, I had the, what is it called again? The throat thing. It'll come to me. I'm still in a brain fog, I guess. And then I kind of felt pretty good by the time we left for Skye, and then we were away in Skye, and for 2 days straight, we were hiking from sunrise to sunset in the pouring rain and freezing wind. So even though I was like warm and cozy resting at night, it was awful during the day, and then when I got back, I got super sick again. Tonsillitis, yeah, there it is. Yeah, that fun thing. So I don't know what it is. At this point, it's just like annoying cold, you know? I'm getting sick of saying that I'm sick. I just want to be over it. You're going to be doing digital painting. Are you painting this scene or doing something else? You can barely keep up with your painting sales. Do your nails count? Doing holiday themed gel nails? Yes, we will count that. Also, I would love to see the final results if you want to post it in Discord. Oh my gosh, that reminds me, Victorian Studio. One time for a paint-along, we had someone join us and they painted the landscape that we were doing on their nails, and it was amazing. And they it's in the collage even, so I could probably dig it up at some point and post it in Discord. You're pretending to work? Okay. Working too much, the healing process takes longer. Yeah. Who has time to just sit around for days at a time? Like, come on. Ain't nobody got time for that. Okay. Also today is going to be interesting. I mean, this is going to be interesting because I have not opened my gouache palette in probably over a month. I don't even know. It's been so long I can't remember. So I think this is a good test for all of you guys who have watched my videos and asked in the comments, does it get moldy? How long does it last? How long does it keep your paint wet? We're about to find out. I'm like slightly nervous. Looks like I tipped it upside down at one point. Ready? I don't see anything. I don't see any mold or even signs of it. It's all, I mean, the colors are cross-contaminated because I painted furiously this past fall, like during all the color, when the peak colors were happening on the leaves and the trees. And I was like dipping in all the little things like crazy, but there's like, I know it's probably kind of dark for you to see, but it is surprisingly fine. So awesome. But I wanted to open it and scoop out the colors I'm using today because I haven't opened it in a while, and I thought it would be fun to show you guys what happens when you don't open it for a while. And you can see they're all like still really wet. I mean, they're totally usable, which is awesome. I will probably do some palette maintenance soon. You don't see anything, you see your fears. What? Why? What are you afraid of? It's just paint. Oh, that was Vader. Hey, Xenium. Cut a piece of our palette paper. Okay. Hopefully I won't. I have tissues here in case I keep sniffling because I don't want to annoy you guys. So today I think I'm going to use my Prussian blue. I kind of want to use the same palette that I've been using for the last while, but I also like to change it up sometimes. Let's maybe take off some of that excess paint. Where are my little swatch sheets? Oh. So I think I'm gonna use this. This is a really nice selection of greens, which is why I'm leaning towards the Prussian blue. So I could use this. So lemon yellow and Prussian blue. And for my warm tones, I could also grab, ooh, this would work. Prussian blue I would already have, and I can just add burnt umber to that. I feel like that's nice earthy selection for this painting. And then as my red, I think I'll go with, I've been using permanent alizarin crimson so much lately. I think I may continue that. Because there's a little bit of red in this landscape. Like, it's very, very subtle. It's a slightly more red than burnt sienna. Like, I'm tempted to use burnt sienna because it is already earthy, but I think it needs just like a hint more. So yeah, let's go with the permanent alizarin crimson again. So what did I say? What am I using? I am getting paint everywhere already. How do I do this every time? We're gonna go with the permanent alizarin crimson, which is almost empty. I should probably, it's also got a lot of yellow in it. I should probably replace this one soon. Lemon yellow. I'm always caught off guard by how runny the yellow is compared to the other colors. Burnt umber. It's always, burnt umber is a little bit more stiff than my other colors as well. And Prussian blue? Yeah, this is all Winsor Newton. And there we go. My Prussian blue is a little bit stiff. Could probably use some TLC, a really good mix, and a little hint of water. Oh god! That was close. Probably don't even need nearly that much, but I should, you know, again, I should really take an afternoon and spruce up my palette anyway. So I'll do that soon. You're gonna use your new gouache? Yes! That is so exciting. Come on. You can do it. And of course we need some... Oh shit, that's why it didn't work. I mean, oh shoot. Sorry, family people. This is what happens when I'm offline for too long. I need to put the seal back in so it definitely stays wet. Hey digital. You're gonna use your darkest red. It's called crimson. Okay, so it's probably pretty similar. Don't report me. You don't even have to report channels anymore for that because the YouTube bot can detect it. The YouTube bot can actually hear or like detect that, and they will demonetize your videos if you have certain language in them. Or it'll like reduce the amount you can get because not all the advertisers will want to be on your channel. I think I'll put a tiny bit of black just right there. And I mean actual black, not Pyrrolene black. Now that I am covered in paint already, we can start the painting. They put ads on every damn video. Yeah, I have YouTube Premium, so I don't even know what it's like. I got it, I think I told you guys like a while ago, I got a 4-month free premium like trial membership, and I was spoiled rotten during that time. So I kept it going. I'm like, for as long as I can afford this, I will do this, because I pretty much watch or listen to YouTube all day, every day. So, for my own sanity, I'm gonna actually zoom in. And by zoom in, I mean lower my tripod. I'm gonna put this on this page because I feel like my hands are messy already. I'm probably gonna get paint on that page. Have you sent the card here? What? You have ad blocker, but you see the skip ad button. Oh, okay. Is Winsor Newton white better than other brand of white? I want to buy... I don't know if it's better. I have been using Holbein and Winsor Newton for so long, and I haven't tried the other ones, so, you know, maybe try a couple different ones and see which ones you like the best. I think, well, at least in my country, the Winsor brand usually has quite good sales, and because I use so much white, I buy the bigger tubes of it, so it works really great for me for that reason. Pencil. Okay. I will be amazed if this painting turns out good today because like I said, I feel so rusty. That was on your channel where you send cards. Are you talking about the Patreon postcards? M-gram white and you really like it. The big tube is cheap in the US. Oh yeah, I think they're based in the US, right? I can't remember exactly, but yeah, the only thing you have to watch out for with M-gram is because they use honey, there is potential for it to get moldy if you don't kind of babysit it, you know? So if you're keeping it in sealed containers, just watch it. That I don't even though Winsor Newton doesn't have a problem with that, I still don't keep my white in the sealed container. I just use it straight from the tube every single session because white is so important and you use it in like all the mixes. I want it to be as fresh as possible every single time. White chocolate. Huh. You had a lottery. Oh, so on my Twitch channel, you're talking about the giveaways. I haven't sent any November or December giveaways. If you're talking about that. Oops. Nice. You haven't had any problems. That's good. Yeah, I guess with any brand, you just gotta kind of learn its quirks. I think the pro of M-gram is that they use honey, and that means it's like instantly rewettable, especially their watercolors. Like you touch it and it's already ready to go. It's pretty awesome. But at the same time, that can be a con depending on how you like to paint. If you want it to be completely dry in your palette before you start, like maybe for traveling. But yeah, I think it's better to be easily rewettable than not, because it's so annoying when you have to like sit there and dig at the paint to get it to come off the palette. Use Holbein and you bought Himi Mia. I've heard of that one more and more actually. Yeah, me too, Xenium. Yeah, this time of year is crazy. You know, it's like, at least for small businesses, I think if anyone else out there is a self-employed, well, or just a small business, you know how it is this time of year. But I was like, I really want to keep doing these study sessions because I find so much value in them myself, and I feel like it just is a really great way to kind of connect to the community. Can't see the colors on your palette since you lowered the tripod. Well, you will see me mixing them. So like, they're just, the colors themselves are out of the shot, but when I mix, this whole thing will be viewable. I'm gonna use a big brush to start off. And probably shift from a blue down to like a warm yellow, warm green. So I have a lot of water to start off. So even though this scene is a like late autumn or early winter landscape, I want to have undertones of summer colors, of bright colors. So that's why I'm leaning in that direction. Hopefully I'll have a little hint of that peeking through. Wow, I'm really bad at that, huh? I always paint on the edge of my tape. I was kind of bummed that I didn't get to paint in Skye. I mean, I did one painting in Skye. I don't know where it is right now, but actually, no, I did two. I painted one little one in my sketchbook, and I did a little postcard and left it for the owner of the house we rented because it was just beautiful and inspired me so much. You notice a big difference. Yeah. You can notice a big difference between brands and papers, like gouache and papers. Papers, I think, are more obvious. Caught the first stream you've done. Oh, yay, welcome. Do you also paint with gouache, Namio? Oh my gosh, Earth to Me, did you buy the 100 and something color set? Or is it 60? I don't know. Either way, it's a lot of colors. I've seen someone do a video about that, and I was just like, holy crap, why do you need so many colors? You never have to mix a single color. They have all the colors for you. Hey, Amy. It was amazing. Thank you. I'll remind you guys at the end of stream, but tomorrow, keep an eye out on my channel. Because I'm posting the Skye vlog, and there's tons of inspiring scenery, and I did lots of photography and took lots of video. 2 paintings, so lazy. It was hard, Slave, because we were going non-stop for both of the days we were there, and I painted on the last day before we left in the morning. My husband, luckily, is totally fine with stopping. Like, if it's just me and him outside hiking, he'll sit there for an hour while I paint. But first of all, this time we did meet up with some hiking buddies, so that wasn't really an option. And it was pouring and also snowing the whole time. And it's so windy that, like, there were times when we could barely stand up. So it wasn't really conducive to painting outside, which was a bummer. I had a huge backpack full of painting stuff ready to go. Didn't even take it out of the car. There is a 120 set. Oh God, can you imagine? It wouldn't even like fit on my desk. You were there at the end of August? That's a really pretty time to go to Skye. You keep using gouache like it's watercolors and it gets frustrating. I actually do that though. I use gouache more like watercolor for the first layer or two, and then I get really thick as I build up. And I mean, occasionally I'll do a super thick gouache painting from start to finish, but in general, I like to have my first layer or even first two layers be much more watered down. And then I just like build up on top of it. It's a comforting way to work for me. Maybe step down slightly in size. This brush is a little thicker, so I actually find that it forces me or helps me get much more painterly style, like looser style. So it's good for like the beginnings of a painting. So we have a bit of mood, should we say, in the sky. So I'll probably do some dry brush. It just keeps reactivating. Oh yeah, so that's the difference that I found is if you are going to use thin down layers with gouache, you can only do a couple. Like you can't treat it exactly like watercolor where you could do dozens of thin glazes. You basically have max 4 layers, maybe 5, depending on your strategy. But realistically, you should think about it more like you only have 2 or 3 layers. So if you can get the first, like what I typically do is I lay in a wash of color, so it gets rid of the white of the paper, and so that's not as distracting, and it kind of gives me, like I usually use something that kind of guides my mood of the painting, and then I can maybe do 1 or 2 more layers on top of that. So the second layer, I really try to block in the major lights and shadows, or the major forms. And then the final layer is for all the final little details, obviously, but also the like brightest brights and my darkest darks typically. So, but I mean, obviously there's so many different strategies depending on what you're going for. What look, what mood, what style. But that tends to work pretty well for me, for my style. Keeping the sky really soft. Pretty much the blue that I have currently on the paper is going to blend into what I'm adding to so I'm kind of thinking of it as, it can kind of be my shadow color, but it's mainly just there to like give me hints of blue peeking through here and there and be more of an undertone to everything. Sorry, let me just make sure I keep up with chat. Limited palette. Yeah. Oh, but that's exciting Earth to me. I hope you enjoy it. But it is nice to know like you have all those colors and you don't have to mix. If you want to go with like a specialty palette, you can just take like 6 colors out of there and you could have a lot of fun with that and not worry about mixing your own colors. It could take some of the pressure off maybe. But I think by now, for me anyway, I'm like I need to mix my own colors. I just have to. It's how I work. Okay, hopefully that's or light enough. I may do just a couple streaks of brighter light. You guys probably won't even see that until I take a final photo. It's really subtle, but it's just a hint of warm light in the clouds. So now I can kind of blend into that. It's slightly unfocused, is it? It should be focusing wide. I hope that it is. Like if I zoom in a little, is it better? Or is it still not? I can't tell because my OBS is so small. Puffy eyeshadow brush to paint your clouds. Nice. I have one of those. I mean, it's an actual paintbrush, but it looks like a makeup brush. I also realized I didn't increase the oh my god, I can't use the big, this is like upside down. There, is that better? Lighter? Yeah, the only problem with big brushes like that is it's harder to control the water as well. So, I mean, it definitely will force you to get good at your water control, right? So does anyone have any plans this weekend? Hibernation. That is also necessary. So right now I'm just laying in the base base colors, I guess, base forms, and then I'm gonna come back with the detail, the brighter brights, the darker darks. Chinese white, from what I remember, is just white with white watercolor. So, yeah. You're gonna work on 3D stuff and possibly stream it? Okay. Putting Christmas tree, cleaning. Thank you. With the brush bristles separating. So if the bristles are pretty soft, they will separate easily. So in general, I try to find a brush that's like medium resistance, like not super soft, but not too stiff, because if it's too stiff, it's just gonna like scrape your paint away. So when I go to the art store, I'm there for like an hour just feeling all the brushes. Like I sit there and I like spring each one and I like watch what it does. And I've actually even brought my little spray bottle before and dipped it in to see how it looks when it's wet. I'm very picky, but also I'm not super picky. I don't know. I'm like somewhere in between. I guess I just know what I want, and as soon as I find it, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get like 10 of you. But in general, I have a huge variety of brushes. I like, honestly, there's 20 different brands in this one little jar. So if I'm ever using a specific brush and you want to know what it is, just ask me. I also have a lot of nameless brushes that just came in like a big pack of cheap brushes. And for some things, they just work great. Not that I would use them for like an entire painting typically, but yeah, they can hold their own. Oh, hey, Shine. Just to make you aware, I'm actually watching. How you doing? I'm gonna post my Skye vlog tomorrow. I'll send you guys a link when it's ready. And then Wolfie wants me to make a separate one just for like all of us. I was like, what? So demanding. Badger hair filberts. I didn't know that was a thing. I tend to buy synthetics. I think I only have like like, I don't know, 5% of my brushes aren't synthetic. But I go through brushes pretty fast. I definitely abuse them, and they only last. Some of them last a long time, but a lot of them live a short life. But one thing you can do to avoid your bristles separating and avoid the streakiness is to control your water and paint amount that's on it. If you don't have enough paint or enough water on your brush, it's going to separate pretty easily. It'll like, look like that for a short amount of time, and then when the brush really dries out, it'll get fluffy again, so all of these little separations will just kind of disappear. But if you're in the middle zone, like where it's like this, it is really annoying. But yeah, just load up more paint or add a tiny bit more water, just enough to spread out the volume of it that's sitting on the bristles. Thanks, Xenium. Only wasted if they're not getting used. Yeah, I have so many freaking brushes, but I use all of them. Like, I have my container of oil brushes, my watercolor and gouache, my acrylic, I have my palette knives, and without whatever medium I'm working within, I do tend to use almost all of them within a session. So, it's worth it. Although, you can definitely get away with not having a ton of different brushes. It's just I've accumulated them over the years. So just a quick heads up before I forget, I don't want to forget to mention it. Next week, I will not be doing a YouTube study stream. I'll try to release a new video, but I'm streaming on Twitch next Friday. So my schedule is all messed up next week, but it's because I'm getting a tattoo on Tuesday and I have to drive down Monday. It's the whole thing. So I will try to keep you guys updated in Discord about my schedule. We already talked about this on Twitch, Slave. I told you, I'm getting this sleeve completed after years of waiting. I had a tattoo guru. I had my girl in Denver, and then I moved to Scotland, and I was like, wherever we lived, I couldn't really find someone I really wanted to do it, but I finally found someone, but they're in Edinburgh, so I have to drive 3.5 hours, so I'm gonna stay overnight, because driving before and after that's not gonna happen. So, yay. So excited. The special extra, no, that's gonna be in April. In April, well, at least as of now, depending on lockdown, stuff might change, but in April, I'm getting this one finished or completed and that's the one I asked her about the extra. The song kind of reminds me of the Titanic scene where they're like sinking and the musicians are playing the music. Oh. Oh gosh, sorry, my camera died. Or my camera. 1 second. I need to figure out the power situation for this camera. Yeah, so a close-up. Come on, you can do it. There's a way to set it so like it I can't see it upside down. There's like a product. Forgot what it's called. Product something. It'll focus on things really quickly, which is a good idea for my stream. Product showcase set on. think that was it. Oh wait, I don't want to record. So. Then focus area. Oh. Okay. So hopefully you can see. Sorry, I keep moving it around. I'm still getting used to this camera, obviously. So still a ways to go. Just laying in the base colors, although it's taking me a little longer on this painting because, again, I want some of that underpainting to peek through. So this vivid green that you see here, I want it to be like pretty visible throughout this background. In the foreground, that's going to be completely covered. Well, maybe just a tiny bit will show through, but speaking of which, maybe I should do that now because that's where a lot of my darker darks are going to be, and it will kind of help bring the whole thing to life. Okay. Once this dark dries, I can come back with some of the highlights on this section. See, my brush right now, it doesn't have enough paint or water on it, and it is streaking a lot. So you can see those streaks. They can work depending on what else is going on, but most of the time it's just super annoying. So I will switch back to my smaller brush. I never use gouache, dried gouache. Dried gouache is pointless. Dried gouache is like using watercolor. So if it's watercolor, it doesn't matter to me if it's wet or dry. The only time I would really make sure I use watercolor straight out of the tube is if I'm doing a big painting and I need to fill a big amount of space, because it's much easier to squeeze a little out of a tube and dilute it to the perfect amount on a big palette than to sit there and scrape away at like your dried watercolor palette and get enough. But yeah, for gouache, again, to me it's just pointless to work from dried gouache. Working from dried gouache defeats the purpose, is what I'm trying to say. Like, you have to reactivate the gouache with water, therefore you are immediately diluting it, therefore you can never get 100% opacity. So you're just gonna limit yourself. feel like I'm heavy breathing because I can't really breathe through my nose very well. Hopefully the mic isn't like picking that up. So now that I have my darks started, I kind of get a feel for the rest of the painting, whether it's too dark or too light, and what I can adjust with my values over here. So yeah, that's kind of useful to get your full value range established early on in the painting. Although I'll pretty much always wait until the final layer to do my brightest brights. What kind of lead would you prefer for rough sketch? Color or simple graphite? Please help. Beginner with gouache. So are you talking about doing your under sketch for a gouache painting? I mean, to me, it doesn't matter because for the most part, gouache is going to cover it up. So it kind of just depends on how much you need to see it for how long. So if you are a beginner, it probably is useful for you to see your sketch for as long as possible. So you might want to use a slightly darker lead, so regular graphite, and you know, make sure you press hard enough so you can see it. But if you don't really need to, then like when I sketch, it's either really light, and honestly it's more like I'm just doing it as a warm-up or a practice run for my painting. So I like sketch it out and it just solidifies the composition in my mind, and then I paint from that vision. So the more you practice, the more you'll be able to do that. It might sound intimidating at first, but it happens eventually. But yeah, I'd say maybe just sketch so that it's dark enough so that you give yourself more time to work with the sketch. The tricky thing with that is if you're, there's not like one answer. So I'll just say that if you're doing like a sky scene, like a scene of a big sky, maybe there's some like trees coming up over the sky, and you do your sketch really dark, but you don't end up painting the entire thing that you sketched, you're just going to have lines showing up in the end. So you kind of have to be aware of that or be okay with that, and or sketch a little bit less than you actually need to, or than you actually think you need to. I don't know. Does that make sense? I just kind of gave you like 10 answers. Because yeah, there isn't one answer, but can kind of do. I guess you just gotta sketch it, like if you really need that sketch to show through, then you have to go a little more bold, which is, I actually have seen tons of watercolor paintings, even gouache paintings, where the sketch is showing through in the end, and I think it looks pretty cool. Like I like that more painterly style, that more stylized look, and when you can see hints of that sketch or the artist's work in the painting, I think it just it amplifies that style. So yeah, I guess it just depends on your preferences. Which art school did you go to? So a million years ago, I went to Alfred University, but it was the New York State College of Art and Ceramics. at Alfred University. So if you actually go to Alfred, it's like the tiniest little town in the middle of nowhere in upstate New York, or South New York. And there's one stoplight, or at least at the time there was one stoplight. And the university and the art school are like across from each other, so it wasn't like a rivalry, but it kind of was. But yeah, it was crazy because it was in the middle of nowhere. I basically lived in the studio because there weren't really other options. Wasn't anything else to do. For me, it was good because I didn't have like any distractions. And then I graduated and I went to Denver and I went to the Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design to study sustainable interior design, which was a whole different world. My major, well, my first degree at that school at that time, you weren't allowed to have a major. You could like emphasize in things or minor in things. So I focused on ceramics and drawing, but by the time I graduated, I was also doing lots of like graphic stuff on the computer because I really just wanted to learn all of that stuff, which I'm so glad I did because I still use it to this day. And then at the second degree, obviously that was specialized with design. But when I was at Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design, which I think has a totally different owner and a different name now, obviously I was majoring, but I was taking lots of other art classes. So I did like life drawing and I never did painting. I still look back on both of those degrees and I was like, why didn't I try painting? I think I was just obsessed with drawing, but also with the fact that I could take all these crazy classes I never imagined. In my first degree, I took neon, which was like making neon sculptures and neon signs. When I say neon, I mean we were actually bending and molding the glass and electrifying it and putting the argon gases and all this like mercury in it and like making it into a neon sign, but it was more like sculpture. And I even did like a lighting design class where we made all these crazy lights, like sculptures that could light up basically. And again, I did lots of ceramics and other and I took glass blowing, which was insane. I was terrified because I burned myself so many times and there was like serious potential for getting really, really hurt in that class. So I only took that for one semester. But yeah, I didn't take painting and I never took photography. And both of those things are what I do now for a living. It's funny how that happens. Hi, Tony. Where else are you going to learn neon sculptures, right? That's why I thought, I was like, okay, I'm at this school. I don't know when I'm ever going to be able to do this again. I'll just take all the classes that I think, like, I'll never get a chance to do again, basically. And ultimately, I'm grateful for that because taking all those different classes like really forced me to be resourceful, and I use those skills that I learned pretty much every day in my current job, my current life. So you never know. You might think what you're doing now is not going to apply to something you want to be doing for the rest of your life, but it does in weird little ways you never expected. Except for the burning. That was the worst. I mean, I even tried violin one semester. That was interesting. Yeah, see? You never know. Oh man, Carolyn, it's fascinating. Have you watched it? Watching people do glass blowing is mesmerizing. And now that I know how freaking hard it is, I am just in awe of people who can do it well. You want to take fine arts, but a lot of people say it's hard to find a job. What do you think about this? So, oh God, that's a long answer. Basically, going into the art world, going to school for art is not like going to school for something else. Like if you go to school to study medicine, you graduate and you have like so many options, like go to be a nurse, a doctor, whatever. There's like all those fields that you can go into, and there are basically places that are desperate for you to come perform medicine there, right? So in the art world, it's a little different. It's more of a luxury field. Like we could argue that people need art to survive, but honestly, like it's not nothing compared to medicine. So in the art world, like what you get out of it is what you put into it. You won't get a job when you graduate unless you work your ass off the entire time you're at school and learn how to network and learn how to self-promote and learn how to do a million other types of jobs. And then when you graduate, if you want, you can work for yourself, but then that's when like the true work starts and it never stops. So of course it's possible. Like there are plenty of design jobs out there. There's plenty of game design, like with movies, people need storyboarders and all sorts of cool jobs out there. Oh, and you can work for yourself, but it is a never-ending hustle. So if you have that excitement and that fire and that passion for it, then you'll go really far and you can do whatever you want to do. You can like make a living doing what you love. But if you are someone who tends to not, like if you would rather have a set amount of duties to do per day, and someone is telling you what your schedule is, and someone is kind of guiding you through the process and guiding you through your life, then it's not for you. Don't do it. Don't do art. That was the short answer. If you want the long answer, come back to my Twitch stream on Friday and we'll talk about it. Okay, should have done this earlier, but we're gonna go for it. I'm gonna brighten up the sky a little bit in this area. I mean, obviously, my advice is just based on my own experience. So there's a million other artists out there you can ask and get their experience as well. But in my experience, it's like you're basically working 24/7 to survive for the first few years at least. Eventually, you will get a name for yourself. You'll build a name for yourself, and depending what field you're going into, you can have a 9-to-5 well-paying job in art, but it's not going to be handed to you. Like, you have to chase it down. You have to pursue it relentlessly. I am literally always exhausted and on the verge of burnout, but I am also always happy. I mean, obviously, I have some bad days, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like, I'm doing what I love for a living. So, hi, Becky, how are you? It's especially hard to get a job in fine art, I would say. Like, the options you have as a fine artist are way less than in the commercial industry. If you're going for visual development or animation or game design or anything in those lines, like, there are tons of companies out there who need creative people who are good at what they do, and they pay pretty well. There's some of them pay really, really well. You still have to hustle like crazy and build up your skills and build up your portfolio and learn how to market yourself and network and everything. But like, those jobs exist. But in the fine art world, you basically have two options. You sell your art or you teach. I mean, that's basically it. And both of those are a constant tussle. In terms of money, I would say the potential for earning is more in the fine art industry, because if you happen to become a famous artist and your name is world renowned and people from all over the world want your paintings, you can basically charge whatever you want. That's like a small percentage of the fine artists out there. So yeah, I mean, it just depends what you're passionate about, I guess. Game industry does not pay well. Well, it depends which part you're in, which part of the industry, because there's like so many different facets of it. Although, from what I've heard in the past few years, especially, like, there's a trend in the design world. I don't know about the gaming world, but with like viz dev or concept artists and that kind of world, there's a trend where like the companies will hire the cheapest artists out there, basically like freelancers or something. And I'm not even going to go into that because I don't know enough detail about it to really say anything. But if the competition is, and by competition I mean if the other artists out there are as good or better than you and they're charging way less, what can you do about it? You can't really do anything about that. You know, it's like, if that's the way the industry is going, you just gotta sorry, I'm getting distracted. It's really hard to talk and paint at the same time. You have industrial design department and they're all super artistic and creative. That's awesome. Make Sarah Birds a worldwide household name. Oh man. I mean, it's the cool thing about art is that if you're a creative person and you get good at a variety of creative things, there are seemingly endless possibilities for you. Like, I mean, there's different specialties, but if you are generally creative and you're very resourceful and you're good at problem solving, you have so many potential jobs for you out there. I mean, like anything from graphic design to interior design to whatever. There's so many options. And I know quite a few artists who are just generally really creative and really good. They have like a very strong sense of design, who have bounced around so many different types of creative jobs. The billboard. Advice Sun Plastics. Visual communication design. What does that entail? It sounds pretty broad. Like Viz Dev? Is that basically that? I mean, I'm not gonna choose your major for you. That's for sure. You gotta do what excites you, what you're passionate about. And if you aren't really sure what that is, then I'd say take some time to figure it out before you enroll, or go to a school. If you're set on going to school, then go to a school that allows you to try lots of different things. If you have the luxury of time, then take some time. Figure out what you really like to do, or what you don't like to do. Which you can't really do until you've tried a bunch of things. If you're confused, then it's all about getting to know yourself, which doesn't happen overnight. Like that requires experience. I mean, when I was 18 and I left home for college, all I knew, actually at that time I wanted to be an art teacher. And then I got to school, and a year into it, I was like, oh, I don't really like kids. I don't want to be around kids. I don't want to teach kids. And that was like the major that I was going for, or the focus. So I just switched to totally, I went into experimental mode to figure out what the heck I liked. And so that's when I took all those different classes and tried so many different things. I even took like non-art classes just to see what I liked. And the one thing that always made me happy, and the common denominator within all of it, was drawing. So no matter what, every single year I made sure I took some kind of drawing focused class. And I'm so glad I did, because I still use those skills every single day. And then, yeah, just over the next, so I finished that degree and I went to school again, and throughout that whole stretch of time, which I guess was like 7 years between both schools, I was just figuring out who I was and what I liked, like pretty much every other college kid out there. And then I graduated in the design world and I got a design job, and for a while I thought that's what I was gonna do forever, but I also kind of knew I wasn't super happy. But it wasn't until I tried other things that I figured out what I think that I'm meant to do, which is this, painting and photography. And funny how now I'm back to teaching again. It's like a circle. Recommend gap years. So, see if you can shadow someone. That's a good idea. Yeah. If you can shadow someone who does something you think you're interested in and just get an idea of what their everyday life is like. Because from the outside, things are deceiving. Like, any job is going to have things that you don't really see from the outside. If you're like a self-employed artist, especially, maybe only like 10-20% of your time is spent making art. The rest of it is doing a million other tasks, especially admin tasks that like you just there's no choice. Like you have to do that until you get rich enough to hire someone to do that for you. But you really don't see that from the outside. Like when you follow people on social media, follow artists online, all you see is the beautiful art they create and how inspiring it is. And you see their Instagram stories where they're walking around the mountains, and you see all the best parts of their life. And you don't see the everyday mundane, banging your head against the wall, annoying stuff that you have to do to survive. My hope is that by the time I'm, I don't know, 60 maybe, that I'll have an assistant, first of all, because then I wouldn't have to do as many of those things. And also, somehow I will have streamlined my process or my business so that I spend the majority of my time creating art instead of not. I feel like that's a pretty decent goal. I have less than 30 years to get there. I think I can do it. Technology will be totally different. It'll be totally different in like 10 years. I'm pretty sure in 10 years, my whole life will be different. Like what I do every day will be different. I mean, I hope I'm still painting and drawing and everything, but like the day-to-day stuff, I'm sure is going to be just completely changed. I mean, it is crazy to think about how fast it has changed. Technology, I mean, and who knows, like my main sources of income right now, Patreon, Skillshare, YouTube, selling art, but the technology side of those, like the Skillshare, the Patreon, and the YouTube, might not even exist in 5 or 10 years. So it's like something will have to change quite dramatically if I'm gonna survive. It's kind of wild thinking about that. Change that music. Do you like us kids? I do, yes. I think when I said, oh, I don't really like kids, it's more like I didn't want to teach middle school or high school age which you kind of have to start out with, or at least in that program I was going for, you did. So I'm cool with teaching older kids or young adults or adults. I think, like, and especially if it's online, because I'm obviously not in the room babysitting everybody. But yeah, I think I am much more suited for teaching older people, or whatever. It doesn't matter how old, but you have to be at the age where you definitely want to be learning this. Like, I couldn't imagine going into a classroom and knowing no one wanted to be there. Like, oh God, no. Okay. Ooh, iron gates and stuff. That's really cool. We have someone in our Discord who does metalworking and all sorts of really awesome stuff, and they will post photos of it sometimes. But they actually did a commission, I think, for a super ornate front gate, and I think they also did a staircase railing, and it was amazing. Just like knowing that they built that with their hands and then seeing it installed. That's incredible to me. Alrighty. I'm just kind of messing around with the foreground, but I'm kind of leaning towards it being finished. Let's see. I may brighten up. It's so hard to like figure out how dark you need to go once the paint is dry on the paper. No. Who are like, I can't do this. And then why are you here? That is interesting. Like one of those paint nights. Trying to figure out how the heck to even hold a brush and stuff. Yeah, why are they there? Why did you go to that? See, I from my limited experience of teaching someone who has never even touched paint before, aka Wolfie. This music is, I know, it's like suddenly turned into this. Let's go back to acoustic. Like I said, it reminded me we're on the Titanic and the boat is sinking. And they're like, it's okay, we're gonna play. So yeah, when I taught Wolfie, when we did the portraits of each other, it was really interesting because he's never painted before. And in his mind, he should be able to do a masterpiece. And I'm like, why? Why do you think that? But apparently, like, it's a common thing for people because they don't know all the hours and years that you spend growing your skills little by little to get to a point where you can do something amazing. And when they finally try it and they realize like how far away they are from that point, it's like pure frustration, pure torture. Like they just hate it. And it's like, no, you have to love the journey. Finish your task, work is over. Heck yeah. Go celebrate with a whiskey and some gaming. I don't know what you're gonna do, but that's awesome. Art is definitely a challenge. Yeah, I could see that, Leah, for sure. Especially, like, Leah, does that mean you lean towards, like, realism? Like, maybe not even hyperrealism, but just, like, strong realism with art? Because, to me, realism is more about, like, checking the boxes and, like, copying real life, right? So, as opposed to doing something very stylized and loose, which requires you to let go of control. Like, letting go of control is absolutely crucial if you're going to paint loose, which is, I think, probably a bigger leap for some people. That's like a lot harder and a lot scarier. And it's funny because that's a good point, because when I was talking to Wolfie about it, and he definitely leans towards realism, because from the outside, like, it's just the logical step to, when you're gonna paint something, you paint it so that it looks like the thing perfectly. Mm-hmm. All right, I think I'm gonna peel the tape. See if we can. Is it focusing on my hand or the painting? Oh God, it's fine. Best part. Definitely have a ways to go before I can paint this place to match my expectations. Oops. Let's go this way. Vader's behind me. He's been here the whole time. That's why he hasn't interrupted us. He's just looked at me like, huh? Are you talking about me? Is it food time? There is a cat? Yes, clean edges, nothing ripped. You don't see him. He's on his little tower. He's right there. He's hiding too well. So, yeah. I don't know if it'll show all that texture. I will take a photo of it, of course, and post it on, I guess, over on Instagram, or definitely in Discord. Do you guys want to say hi to Vader?
Want to say hi, little boy?
time for... I don't know why it's only half the screen. Say hi, little boy. All of his toe beads. Poor little baby. He's sleepy. Just woke him up from his nap. He is like the softest kitty in the whole world. He feels like a bunny fur. You know how soft bunny fur is? That's like fader fur. And he sheds everywhere on my paintings. Poor little boy. He loves his chin scratches though. Ever since he was a teeny baby, he loves his chin scratches. Aww. Oh yeah, there's always fur on the painting and in the paint, but it's worth it. So as a reminder, tomorrow I will post my Skye vlog, and then I'm doing the watercolor postcard painting video next week. And I'm streaming on Friday over on Twitch. So, if you guys want to hang out, join me on Twitch next week on Friday. And then the following week... Oh, and the Paintalong is going to be on December 19th. So, the actual Paintalong tutorial for December is going to be December 19th, and we're going to be doing a festive theme. So in Discord we were talking about options, and people were mentioning like painting a thing that could potentially be on a holiday card. So we have to pick a subject still, but something festive. I think it'll be fun. Look at all those furs on my painting now. What did you do? You got the furs everywhere. I guess it's really me doing it. He's a sweet boy. Look at his furs. Silly little boy. All right. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. Oh, gives me the most loving look. These are those loving eyes. He wants his foods. Aww. How can I say no to that? Okay guys, I will see you next time, see you next week. Thank you guys for hanging out, and I'm gonna put my end screen on there. But yeah, come hang out with us in Discord if you'd like to hang out while we're offline. But otherwise, I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.